These are the leading companies on the ASX. We're filtering the All Ordinaries using the RS or Relative Strength Index and Volatility Contraction Patterns Filters. These are two scanning tools used by two of the best performing and well-known traders in the world. The RS Index is difficult to come by in the Australian markets and comes from William O'Neill, the founder of Investors Business Daily, and also well known for his CANSLIM trading methods. The Volatility Contraction Pattern scans that we are applying come from Mark Minervini, where he combines technical and fundamental filters. So we're applying those fundamentals on top of these RSI or RS Index for the ASX Top 500 or All Ordinaries Index. This is Finer Market Points, where we connect the leading market themes and the top performing companies for better trading. You can like the video to support the channel, click subscribe for updates, or comment below to let us know the filters and companies that you're trading. Now what we're looking at here on the charts is we can see that the All Ordinaries Index has come down 2% for the month. We're going to have the table on the right hand side to show the performance of the companies, and then on the left hand side we're going to have the charts to really highlight how and where these companies' performances come from. To start off with, what we're going to do is have a look at the relative strength side of things and start off at number 6. So CUV comes in with an RS of 89.59, so relative strength 89.59, which is relatively high. Their monthly performance is 40%, and we can see on the chart that this really has shot out significantly. Now this may well be a volatility contraction pattern in itself, because as you can see from the bouncing ball perspective, they're getting smaller but not necessarily smaller, so it is some sort of a channel, and that is critical to see. So that's interesting to see how that technical pattern can be applied on CUV. Now if we move up to number 5 in the pattern, we're going to see that the ticker is ABB, Aussie Broadband. So what we're seeing from the RS side of things, relative strength comes in at 89.8, and that's tied with number 4 as well, that we'll have a look in a second. But Aussie Broadband's chart also shows that they have shot out significantly, and we'll bring that up to see on the left hand side. On the far left you can see that there's no price data. That's because it's a recent IPO. They have churned out sideways along the green line, which is the 50-day moving average, and then broken out above it. You'll see down the bottom here that this was a pocket pivot, which is a different aspect as well, and you can click on the link below to learn more about pocket pivots, which is coming from O'Neill Disciples. But focusing on the patterns that we're looking at today and the relative strength index, we can see that it has shot out, consolidated from 280, got the consolidation again over 360, and then once again another pocket pivot to break out and run up to $4.80 at the moment, which has them ranking very highly for that relative strength index. When we move out to number 4, we've got equal place here, which is 89.8, once again, INR. So their performance is 29%, not as strong on the monthly performance, but what we are seeing is it is similar. We've had it come back and pull back towards the red line. We know this red line is a 200-day moving average, and quite a critical one for technical traders, from institutionals through to the retail trader as well. They were trading under the 50-day moving average, being the green line, and then consolidated as the two were coming together, but they didn't quite cross over. Before it crossed over, it sorted out and started running again throughout the June-July period, and then running up to where it is now. So strong movements, 30 cents over 65 cents over the last 2 months, and we will see as we bring this out to the quarter, we will see some good performances there for 67% from INR, being number 4 for the month. Then we come over to another company that we've seen many times before, and you can click on the Finer Market Points and look at how it's been as a leading company in the top 6. So we have seen Novonix NVX, company that we've seen many times before. Solid performance for the quarter, 97%. Staggering movements, 53% for the month. Having a look at this chart, their RSI that you can't see on the chart is 94.74, and it's really showing from the breakout. This was a VCP, and you can have a look at how we've identified these VCPs in the past and talked about NVX as breaking out and also having a pocket pivot right down here, this massive explosive date. We do see on the 13th of July, they've broken out and run hard. They've come from under $2.50 to over $6 trading in today's session. NVX 97% gain with an RS score 94.74. Solid gains indeed, massive movements, and it's a phenomenal trading company as the chart does show. We come up to number 2 and we're going to see another strong performer. So we're looking at CTT here. Now CTC, said right, has been 37.7% return for the month, 24 for the quarter, so you can see that they have come down. We're going to bring that chart on the left hand side. So there was a VCP here in itself. The VCP, there's a tutorial that you can click on the link below to understand more about how that VCP works. This is Mark Minervini's signature pattern of combining the fundamental filters that we'll have a look at in a second, applying to this list. And then also the technical side of things. This is the technical aspect here. Recent IPO on the left-hand side, not part of the VCP, but critical to know. They've rallied strongly, 160 to the highs, come back with a severe pullback to the 50-day moving average by coincidence, and rallied off there. Retested the highs and come back, but not as low. This is a lower contraction, which is the first volatility contraction, because this drop is volatile, but this is a volatility contraction. It's slightly less. Similar highs, but a higher low. Churns along the bottom under the 50-day moving average being the green line, rallies once again, but the rally's not as far, not as severe, because it came from these lows to the same highs. It came from a higher low to a lower high, clearly a lower rally, and then the drop back, the pullback is to a higher low. Once again, a contraction. This volatility movement here is less than the second one that we saw and less than the first one. So it's volatility contracting. Now, whether you count this fourth one here, that's debatable, but it does break over the 50-day moving average and then sits above it to come back and touches on the 10-day moving average being the blue line. Now, there's not a pocket pivot here on the breakout until we see it shoot up here over what some traders call, what Gary Glover will call the B wave, over this resistance point here. And if that's another pullback, then there you go. So there's your VCP breakout, and they have CTT has shot out and put on stellar performances to get a second place spot this week on the RSI score of 95.09. To come up to the top performing company for the month, for the week, we should say, VCP, we'll have a look at in a second, but from the RSI, it's 99.17, stellar performances, and you could say that there's a VCP in here for this rally contraction. Not necessarily. It's really just, it's quite debatable, but under the 50-day moving average, they shoot out. They've got a RSI of 99.17, a quarterly performance of 41%, but the month is 59%. Huge movement for Paladin. If you want to see more of volatility, all the top performers in the uranium and uranium charting, you can click on the link in the description below or on the card up the top here on the screen to have a look and to see how we've identified a lot of those uranium miners breaking out and in similar patterns, because this could be setting up for a high and tight flag, which is another tutorial that we've walked out through, another great pattern to complement these filters. Now, when we move over, we're going to have a look at how we apply Mark Minervini's fundamental filters. We're applying these filters to these leading companies in the RSI. So we've had a look at the top 50 of RSI performers in the All Ordinaries Index, and then we've applied fundamental filters to get an understanding of whether the fundamentally strong companies on the ASX are still performing and how they rank with an RSI. Now, starting off at number 4, we're going to have a look at EVS. So EVS's rank is at number 9, so we are seeing that there is solid performances coming from both fundamentally strong companies and technical trading. EVS is just outside of the numbers that we looked at in the top 6. They are number 9. Their relative strength was 86. So that's their performance at 66% for the month. And you can see they've come from the lows, a lower liquidity company, and then under the 200-day moving average. But once they get over it, they've been for a bit of a ride and a bit of a run. When we come up to the number 4th ranked, so the company that's got a relative strength index in the top 50, but also applying Mark Minervini's fundamental filters, we see that number 3 is CUV that we've seen before. So we're going to see that that's performed and coming at number 3 for the Mark Minervini filters. Coming up for the next ranked, so what we're going to see is the filtering applied. The next ranked one is Aussie Broadband that we saw before, which was ranked number 5. And then rounding out the top one for the top performing company that has fundamental filters that Mark Minervini applies for the VCP, and also the relative strength index top performer, we've got 3. So for these 4 leaders here, these are also applying to the Mark Minervini filters as we apply them in this trading software Iris. And we're seeing that they're ranked number 9, starting at EVS, ranked number 6 for Clinuvel, number 5, ABB, which is ranked number 2, applying the filters, and then the top performing one over the last week, we've got Novonix number 3, that's the best performing one. 97% for the quarter and 53% over the last month. This is combining the two, which we haven't seen done in Australia before, let alone finding the relative strength indexes easily in the Australian markets. Let us know what you think of this. If you like it, we can continue bringing it for you, bring it out towards you, possibly on a weekly basis, depending on how well you like it. So like the video, subscribe for updates, and comment below to let us know your feedback on this, how you're using the relative strength index and volatility contraction patterns in the Australian market.